I really love to explain it as it is literally the ultimate form of self-love, because you are sitting with the uncomfortable things, or the things that you've been conditioned to believe, or the traumas, or, the inner child. You are sitting with those and giving them your presence. So therefore you're giving them your love and acknowledgement that they are there.
And then coming back to this inner child work is that we shouldn't be feeling those big emotions. And those big emotions are normally like the anger, the crying. And they're things that we're taught from a child that we shouldn't have those emotions. Stop crying, it'll be okay.
That's what it means for me, going deeper than you have been yesterday. And yes, it is uncomfortable because it's meant to be uncomfortable, unfortunately. But like we said, the beauty and the light that comes from there is just amazing.
Our conditioning, we're brought up with values that may be other people's. And we've just taken on those values because that's what we've been taught to do. Everything in life we've actually been taught to do.
Yes, it can be scary, and there's so much beauty on the other side of it that if even though it's scary, if you can just sit with it for a moment, I promise it'll end, and then you'll get on to the another layer, right?
Hey everyone, it's Sophia from Sacred You. Thank you so much for being here. A quick message before we dive into today's discussion. You may have been watching our videos, but have not had a chance to hit that subscribe button. So if you have gained value from our conversations, from our channel, it would be so appreciated for us if you would hit that subscribe button below right now and even give us a like. What that means is not only does it allow us to grow our subscriber base, but it also allows us to bring in even more guests for you to listen to. And you will be one of the first ones to be notified. So please hit that subscribe button and let's get started on today's wonderful panel discussion.
Hello, beautiful human beings, and welcome to Shadow Work Doesn't Have to Be Scary. My name is Sky, and I am your facilitator today. I am a shadow work coach, expert, specialist. All things inner journey and shadow work are my jam. I am the person that will poke and prod all of those little wounds. And the third drawer down that you close, don't want to see again. I am the toddler that opens that up and says, hey, what is here? Because there's so many gifts and authenticity in all of those parts that you have disowned, rejected, or suppressed in order to be liked, loved, and accepted. Now, shadow work has come with a little bit of like a scary sort of, I don't want to do that kind of vibe to it. I really want to jump on here and have a discussion with these beautiful people with me today on how sometimes it doesn't necessarily have to be as scary as what you have made it out to be or what someone else has told you it is. So I just want to take a moment now and get my beautiful panelists to introduce themselves. I'm going to start with Michelle because she's closest to me on the screen, and then we'll dive right in.
Thanks, Sky. My name's Michelle. I have been doing my own shadow work to a degree from about 2016 on the back of a bit of a health issue, and by diving into that really assisted my health, and so therefore I started studying and looking into different modalities and have been working in that area with clients from about 2020, roughly 2019, 2020. So because I've touched on so many different modalities, I umbrella it all under I'm a soul practitioner and holistic counselor. And yeah, I find that, like you say, there is some scariness around shadow work, and we've got to probe into that to get the healing to happen. So it's important and we shouldn't be scared of it.
I love that, Michelle. And I love that it's come from like a health sort of thing with you, and that's sort of triggered you to take that deep dive. And hopefully I can pronounce this correctly. We've got Katerina, is that right?
That's right. Hi, everybody. Yes, I started doing the shadow work about maybe 20 years ago with my own emotional and mental capabilities and getting myself into my own shadow to understand my life and where I fit in the world. And then eventually led me to my own business, Be Your True Self. So I'm a certified life coach and ascension master, and also do the shadow work. So I'm also the person that goes into the layers of your shadow and probes you and opens the doors and gets you to look at yourself. But what I do is I hold space for you to understand that it's not scary. And what I do is I walk along with you for you to discover your treasures in the shadow, because your shadow holds the treasures so you can bring more light in. And that goes from my own experience. And I've been with clients since 2009. And I have clients that are long term. So it's not something that you do overnight or a couple of days. It's something that you take one step at a time to do. And my job is also to let you see that it isn't scary. It's only scary because because of the lack of understanding and also the conditioning that surrounds us in regards to looking deeply within yourself. But it's beautiful, it's healing, and it's ongoing. So there is a process to it. Thank you.
Torchbearer, person of my own heart. I love it. Awesome. Thank you so much, Katerina. And we
Thank
also
you.
have Denise.
Hi. Yes, I also work within the realms of what everybody else is doing. I support and teach people to self-heal. So self-healing is all about going into our shadows. And shadow sometimes is that overarching dark word that people are firstly taken aback by. So I always preference that it's our trauma, our pain, our emotional kickbacks that we keep following in patterns and family patterns, self patterns that we've fallen into that we've lost ourselves in. So also going through and getting to the core. I love to go to the core of where these emotions and these patterns were developed to be able to come through and see ourselves fully, for the person to see themselves fully and to really truly know the true essence of themselves and be able to offload. Because our shadow work, as we name it, everything in life, our traumas, our hurts, our pains, they happen on a daily. So this is a daily journey for us, but there's the core patterns that we need to get to first, and that's what I love doing, and getting those core traumas for us to move through and learn how to do it for yourself, which is such a beautiful gift to have for yourself and to share with others.
Chef's kiss. I love it. I feel like I've found my people. Isn't this amazing? And finally, we have Dr. Simi. She's joined us all the way from the US, which is just fucking epic. You want to come off mute, babe, and introduce yourself?
Yes, thank you for having me. It's nice to talk all across the ocean and just get to know you guys. So it's a pleasure. I'm actually a family practice physician, and I've authored a book called Raising the Inner Child, and which is what shadow work is referring to. It's part of our fragmented self, and it's known by many different names. And shadow work is one of them. It's also known as inner child. My book is also talking about the importance of the inner child work. So I've since practiced, since 2012, I've been practicing the shadow work, working with others and also working with my patients. I'm now a mind-body medicine practitioner. And what I've come to find out over the last 12 years or so is that it's our inner children or shadows that are actually causing our physical symptoms. And yes, it can be scary, and there's so much beauty on the other side of it that even though it's scary, if you can just sit with it for a moment, I promise it'll end, and then you'll get on to the another layer, right? But it is beautiful work and much needed for our health in many different ways.
That is so amazing. I have some amazing panelists with me who specialize in all different realms, but I really love the fact that when we all connect back into it, it is all back into the shadow, into the inner child, into that deep layer of healing. And so I'd like to ask around the room, because in my experience, like all the work that we do on ourselves, whether we're working on ourselves or we've got a guide with us, it is integration work. which is essentially shadow work. So in your own words, Michelle, what does shadow work mean to you?
I feel like it's such a big topic, right? And I feel like it's such a big thing to define. But I think when you bring it to its core, it really is this acceptance and acknowledgement of the parts of yourself that are hurt, that are wounded, that need some love, that need some understanding. And I think that is basically what the work is about. It's really diving into those parts of us, of ourselves, that maybe we're a little bit embarrassed about, or that we push down and we hide because they're linked with those really big emotions. And those big emotions we're taught from childhood. So then coming back to this inner child work is that we shouldn't be feeling those big emotions. And those big emotions are normally like the anger, the crying, and they're things that we're taught from a child that we shouldn't have those emotions. Stop crying, it'll be okay. And so I really think that for me, when I'm working with people, it's really just allowing them to accept all the parts of themselves and acknowledge all of the parts of themselves, and really love on those wounds that have either come from childhood, how we're raised, conditioning, and trauma that's happened to us maybe later in life as well. It really is just about accepting those parts of ourselves and then allowing ourselves to love on them and give that part of ourselves what we need.
I love that. And Denise, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, for me, it's the opportunity to really see myself, or really to open up to who I really am. Because as Michelle said, our conditioning, we're brought up with values that may be other people's. And we've just taken on those values because that's what we've been taught to do. Everything in life we've actually been taught to do. So all the trauma that happened when I was little happens now, because I haven't gone back and I haven't found that core to say, what emotions haven't I felt here? What is it that I felt at that time that I'm feeling today? So shadow work for me is an opportunity to get to the core of it, like Michelle said, but actually healing from there and actually seeing the true essence of myself, seeing myself, and the opportunity to really know myself intimately and build on that.
That is so amazing. I love it. And Dr. Simi, in your own words, what does shadow work mean to you? And you've written a book, so this should be really cool.
This is pretty cool. Thanks for the opportunity again. So, in my experience, what I have noticed is when we experience trauma, and trauma doesn't come with fanfare and all the big sound effects, it happens in the quiet moments of our lives, and it happens in the smallest of things. And what that does, it fragments a part of our soul, which is what we call the inner child or the shadow. And it's when we begin to acknowledge these parts and then begin to accept them. And as we acknowledge them, we begin to accept them. And yes, as Michelle said, they come with big emotions, right? But it's okay to be uncomfortable, because when we're uncomfortable and truly sit with our emotions, that's the biggest act of self-love. And all that is required, honestly, as scary as it seems, is simply our presence. If we can just be present to those uncomfortable emotions, they really go away. And then you come to this sense of joy and peace around the situation. And yes, it comes in layers, but that's the ultimate gift that we get out of doing this work.
So thank you, Dr. Simi. And I really love how you aspect of it being true self-love. When I'm working with my clients and we're moving through shadows and all that sort of stuff, I really love to explain it as it is literally the ultimate form of self-love, because you are sitting with the uncomfortable things, or the things that you've been conditioned to believe, or the traumas, or, you know, the inner child. You are sitting with those and giving them your presence. So therefore you're giving them your love and acknowledgement that they are there, which is, I love it. It's super amazing. And Katerina, sorry.
For me, I'll just add on to what the ladies were saying. For me, it's a deep dive into the unknowns of yourself that the challenges of your everyday life brings up. What that means is what I do is I sit with my shadow and I have a conversation. What is it that I can do today to help you understand that we're going to be okay? Or what more do I need to do to understand that the deeper level of me needs more attention? So that's how I approach it as well. What it means for me is it helps me to go to the parts of me that I haven't been yesterday, or if something comes up and I don't really understand what's going on. I do a lot of quiet time, so I feel you need to be quiet with the shadow. I've also learned to collaborate between me, my higher self, and my ego, so we can speak to the shadow, so we're not frightened about what we need to do next. That's what it means for me, going deeper than you have been yesterday. And yes, it is uncomfortable because it's meant to be uncomfortable, unfortunately. But like we said, the beauty and the light that comes from there is just amazing.
I love that. And in the words of Carl Jung, is you don't have any shadows when you're in the darkness with your shadows. You will never find the light in the light. You will always find the light within the darkest aspects of yourself. And moving through that as a coach, mentor, healer, reader, torchbearer, all the things that you are as you are to your clients, how, as a collective, how can we introduce shadow work so it's not too jarring or too scary? And Katerina, since you just finished off, I will start with you.
Okay, so how I introduce it is I teach my clients and myself just to have a quiet moment for 10 minutes every day and just allow whatever comes up to have a conversation with. How do we introduce it? We got to introduce it as in it's a part of our evolution. It's a part of the consciousness that wants to evolve into our higher selves so we can have a greater understanding of what we're doing, right? So how do we introduce it? By teaching quiet time. I teach quiet time, how to have quiet time, self-care, how to love oneself, how to be able to communicate with somebody that you're uncomfortable, and how does that feel for you, and how would you communicate that with somebody else? So that's how I think we should introduce it. I think we should introduce it into our schooling system so children can learn how to quiet down the ego so they can learn to express how they are truly feeling so they don't create toxicity in the shadow. That's how I feel about it all. But it's all about encouraging you to feel that it's okay to be who you are no matter what people see. Or you got to have integrity, you got to have responsibility and all those things, of course. But the shadow just wants to be heard, and it quietens down so then you can teach your ego that it's okay to bring something new into your life so it doesn't try and stop you.
I love that. And that was like really epic. I too believe that it should be something that is introduced into schooling systems as well as a safe way, as you said, to allow children, teenagers, adolescents, all of those sort of things, how to understand their feelings, their emotions, their ego, all the things. My husband and I are actually starting to teach my eldest son to journal when he feels like he can't communicate, when he's all and feels like he can't communicate. It's just like, all right, write down all the stuff that you're scared to say, or you feel like it's going to come out wrong or anything like that. Write it down, and it's for your eyes only. So if you wanted to share it with us, you can. If you don't, that's cool too. Let's move this energy through, because it is okay for you to be feeling these things. And following on, Michelle, question number 2.
I agree with all of that, and I think it is something that we should be, introducing at a young age, which is, I've done a lot of study and continue to study around doing mindfulness practices with children and meditation with children and how to work with them as a counsellor. But I think one of the really important parts when we're working with our clients is being really clear on the process and what's going to happen so that it removes the fear or any questions that they may have. And I think as a collective, the more that we talk about the process, because we've got 5 beautiful people here, we all do shadow work, we all do it in our own unique way. And so I think being able to explain that to people, that it's not a scary process, how that process is going to play out, yes, there might be some emotions that arise and acknowledgement of that, but I think bringing more understanding to the process and what we're doing and how we're moving through the shadow is really important, because we can only truly do this work, I think, or do any work when we have that sense of safety. And that sense of safety comes from understanding what's happening. And so it's that combination of also providing that safe space for people if you're working with them, but also just raising awareness of the process so that it's not so scary, or asking questions and allowing that to happen when you're working with people. I believe in the shadow. I always explain the process that we're going to go through, let them know that they're supported through that we will stop at any time if it becomes too much, that they're in control as well. So that gives them a sense of comfortability with the whole process that you're about to go through. And I think that's really important. And as a collective, we should probably look at doing that as well.
I love that. And that is so true as well, because we really do need to have that beautiful safety or rapport with our clients, and as the client with the practitioner or the therapist or the guide as well. They need to feel that essence of safety, and they do have that aspect of control. And if it does become too much, they can stop or ask further questions or all of those sort of things. I'm just going to take a moment right now and just to welcome our audience members that are coming in. Thank you so much for being here with all of us today. If you have any questions, please pop them up into the chat box or in the comment section. If you have questions for specific panelists, please drop their name with them as well. If you've got specific questions for me, same process goes. Just drop my name in it as well, so that we can answer any questions directly to you for you. So continuing on, Dr. Simi, what would you like to add with how we can introduce this inner work so it's not so scary and jarring?
Yeah, I just want to say that I loved what Michelle said about setting expectations, letting them know what to expect, not just the process, but also your life is going to change as a result of this process in a good way. And it might initially become a little tumultuous before the energies finally settle into their harmonious self again. So it's okay to let the person know that there will be changes in their lives, right? So they can be emotionally prepared for some of those changes. And the other thing is, I love that, yes, we need to teach this in schools. And I feel that women in general are the anchors of communities, of a culture, of a society, of a country. When you teach a woman something, it's going to hit the whole community and the village, not just a couple people, right? Women can help the men, women can then help the children. So I think involving the women who are like middle age even, or who are fairly settled in life, so that they can handle the intensity that comes with this, frankly. And the way I begin is becoming first aware of your feelings on a moment to moment in your daily life. And I talk about this in my book, and the way to bring awareness to those feelings, because oftentimes we're so numb to it because we're conditioned to be numb to our feelings because emotions are so big, is really to bring awareness between your throat and your heart chakra, right on the top of your chest, is what I call your emotional storage shed. And since I've been practicing for the past 12 years, I've noticed that all of your experiences, memories, emotions, even past life experiences, your experiences in between lives and in your womb space are all stored in this area. And so if you can just start to just simply bring awareness to that area, that'll begin to open and help you get in touch with your feelings. And that's where the process really begins.
Love that. And she said past lives. Yay. Awesome. Denise, do you have anything to add, my lovely?
Yeah, what I love to start with is what everyone has said is just so beautiful. And what I do with my clients, I'm very open and honest and letting them know everything that they're going to go through. And then, because it is going to be disruptive, it is going to be uncomfortable, but there's also those times where it's going to be magnificent, life-changing. And it's about the first thing that I always touch on is your awareness of yourself. Your awareness of self is key. How you speak to yourself, how you see yourself, everything about you is what we're coming home to. So I'm not looking outside for anything. I'm actually coming inwards to know how I feel, what I think. And what I think, is that a truth or a lie as well? Because that anchors to our childhood expectations of the conditioning that we've been brought through. Everything, just being open and allowing everything to fall on the table, and just knowing that, and letting people know that it's not an overnight. It's not a monthly, your life is going to be 100% better than what it is now, but that's time, because the society wants everything now. So it's not a now, tomorrow you're going to go home, your life's changed forever. Because I've been living all these patterns in my life till now, so I've got to work through that to undo that, so to speak. So it's about giving them the full picture, but with all the aspects of it, because this is how they're going to live the rest of their life, which is beautiful.
It's definitely, Denise. And I really love how you added with the time aspect as well, because you're 100% right. There's unlearning, there's patterns, there's conditioning, all of those sort of things. And I've explained it to a lot of clients that I've worked with, and we have, whether it's a conditioned aspect or through the society of the now type thing, it's like, you're 34 years old. You've been running these systems, these patterns for 34 years or however old you are. That's not going to take 24 hours to undo all of that. That is going to take time and process and repetition and all of those beautiful things when you decide to make that change and step into a new path, that it's a continual process. And as I said before, it all happens in layers.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'd also like to add to that is how showing people how to hold themselves in love and compassion unconditionally. Because what we do is we go back into our patterns, and then we go back to the berating, the narrative that we have. So it's actually helping people to be, because we can hold people, but it's actually showing people how they can hold themselves in that as well.
Yeah, I love that. And that is very true. Okay. And I love this question. I feel like it's very important because it has come up quite a lot in my world, where people have actually reached out and asked me about shadow work because they have tried to really dive into the depth and dives into the core on their own without any sort of educational knowledge of what shadow work is. And it's gone a little bit sideways. Where have you seen shadow work go sideways? And for example, like when someone just ripped the band-aid off and then went, fuck that, and ran the other direction. But unfortunately, we've ripped the band-aid off, or they have ripped the band-aid off. There is now an open wound, and it is there. And it's not something that you can really run away from again. So what are some ideas to help so this doesn't happen, or to help someone through if it has happened? And I'll start with you, Denise.
Yeah, I've had that happen a number of times. Because we're fearful of ourselves. We're fearful of the unknown. So it's actually, what I would say to people is recognize that you're in fear. Be okay. Hold yourself in loving compassion and unjudgmental of yourself, that yes, I'm in fear of what's really going on here. And yeah, I feel that it's just that awareness. It's that awareness that, oh yeah, I'm out of control. Feel the out of control. You've got to feel what's actually coming up, because that's the journey of healing the trauma, because I've never been out of control because I've controlled my life all the time. So this is feeling so out of control and I don't like it. So I'm going to run and take control again. So and if you've gone, okay, I've tried it, I can't do it, like you said, it's open and we get a choice of when we can continue or not. But now that I know, I can't unknow. So it's okay, open the door and see what's there. Allow yourself to be comfortable with the unknown, or whatever it is that you're up against, that the door's been open to, that you're feeling out of control. or you're feeling abandonment, because they're all the feelings that come up. Because I'm in control, because I've felt a certain way to have to control myself. So, yeah, it's just that awareness of self. And I always reach out to those clients that have gone, hey, too much, and just say, I'm here whenever you like. There's no pressure, just whenever you're ready. Yeah, and if you ever want to talk in between, to talk stuff through, just give me a bell. Because for me, this is my purpose. So it doesn't matter whether I've got them in front of me on here, or as a client, I'm always in between as well. Because I believe that this is what we're here for. This is what I'm here for, is to help people heal and to be able to learn to self-heal. And then so they can teach, because if they're healing themselves, this life, past lives, they're healing their ancestral lives, they're healing their children's lives. They're giving that opportunity for all those ancestrals and the children to come to know this, to grow up with this. It's going to be beautiful seeing your children, Sky, grow up knowing, and then their children even knowing more.
Most definitely. And I love that. And yeah, it is beautiful. And it's joy. And it's just like, you don't really have words. And like, you brought up fear, and that just reminded me, and I love that. A beautiful mentor of mine, when I was doing one of my certifications, he said something really cool. And that's, a lot of the times when we feel fear, our first instinct is, one, not to admit it, and two, to run away. Is fuck this, I'm out. But there is so much power in admitting that you feel fear, or you're scared, or you're anxious, or whatever is coming up for you, because whatever is coming up to be let go of, it's coming up for a reason. As all of these beautiful women have said, it's coming up so you can sit and be present in that uncomfortable space. Dr. Simi, what would you like to add where shadow work's gone sideways, and how are some things, some ideas and things we can put in place so this doesn't happen?
Yeah, and it often goes sideways, doesn't it? As we all know from experience. My tool is that I prepare them for this, let them know that, okay, this will happen. You're going to want to run away, and it's okay to not run away, and just sit with it. And I also guide them to build what I call a spiritual toolbox, meaning getting a little memory box and putting maybe a quote in there that helps to soothe them. It's about teaching them how to soothe themselves, and maybe putting a book paragraph or a book even in there to help to remind them. Okay, so having some tools, or maybe a friend they can call or go to, have a support system. I think doing this work, it's so important to have a support system and somebody who truly understand this work, and they can just hold space on the other line and say, I got you, it's okay. Somebody to just reassure them. I think those are like the most important things to do, is the preparation. And then most of all, acceptance. Tell them that it's okay to accept themselves. If they want to run away, okay, they run away. Maybe it's their time to run away. Maybe they will come back in a week or a month or 10 years, whatever it is, but to accept that part of themselves, because from that place of acceptance, we can dissolve fear and step more into this work.
Ah, perfect. I love it. And Katerina, where have you seen shadow work go sideways and ripped the band-aid off and just went, nope, we're out?
Yeah, I have seen it. Yeah, I have seen it, and I've seen it with light workers. They go through layers and they release and they do all the work, and then they suddenly get to the part of them where they have to face their own power. And then it's like they remove what doesn't work, but then they've got this space that's empty, and you don't know what to do with it. So what I do is I encourage them just to fill it up with self-love and surrender to how far you've come and what have you done, and like toolbox, like Simi said, create a little toolbox, right? What happens too is, as we move through the layers, and I know this happens to me, you suddenly do feel afraid, because you're coming up to the part of you that's much more, say, powerful than it was while you were cleaning it up, right? So you're all excited and you clean up your layers and you remove it. And then you come into this space where it's just space. You don't know what to do with it. So we're conditioned to fill it in with fear because we don't understand it. So some of the tools to go on with what the others were saying is I always encourage them to journal, to talk about how far they've come. Look at the footsteps that you've taken, and imagine you've got a box and you're filling it up with self-care, massage, meditation, talking to somebody, or just giving yourself a hug and congratulating yourself for getting there. But as in particular with the light workers, it's the fear of your own power that brings up the fear of going to the next level, because I've had clients where they've looked at me and called me evil because they were just too afraid to go to the next depths of their awakening as such, right? These are my words. So what I do is I say, okay, you have to take it at your own pace. There's no fixed timeline. You take it at your own pace. You go one step at a time. There's no need to rush. And there's no end. It's like a marathon. There's no line to get to. Wouldn't you agree? There's no line to get to. So you just take it at your own pace. And if you do feel afraid, once again, yes, like Simi said, you ring somebody and say, oh my gosh, this is just too much for me. Or what I do if you're my client, I always check in once a week or something. I say, I'm just checking in to see how you're going. We can have a chat if you need to just boost that confidence up a little bit. But yes, I think going the sideways thing and feeling afraid, I think that's just a normal process because, like I said, you're just about to be awakened to another layer of your own self-empowerment, and that can be frightening, right? Because you're going, oh my gosh, look what I can do, or oh my gosh, is that really me? So I like to think that my clients come back to me and say, oh, I just need a 10-minute talk. So I just talk to them in between. Long gone are the traditional counsellors where you're not allowed to talk to your therapist like in between sessions, where I say, if you need 10 minutes with me, just send me a message and we'll just have a little chat. Sideways things, the fear, the Band-Aid. Sometimes I found people just take the Band-Aid off without even knowing what they're doing. So I'm there to say, okay, now you're going to be afraid for a little while because you just took the Band-Aid off and you're not going to like what, because your awakening is all about not liking what. I'm just going to sit here with you, take a breath. Let's just do a little bit of meditation. I have the crystal lights, so I turn that on just to help them calm down a little bit. But I always say to them, you're better than what you were yesterday, and there's a lot more than you know about yourself that is a lot more expanding, more light, and your shadow will calm down and you'll find that you won't go on that repeating cycle of coming back to that layer again because you've removed that layer.
Yeah, I love that, Katerina. What an amazing, I love it. And in the words that you were just saying as well, you've actually just sort of really, even for myself as a practitioner, as an expert in this, we are all going through layers and experiences and stuff, and you just chinked in a chain of something that I've been going through at the moment. So thank you.
It's okay.
Because that I was just like, you said something and I just landed. I went, oh, there we go. So Michelle, diving into where you have seen shadow work go sideways, where someone's maybe ripped the Band-Aid off and just went, nope. What are some ideas or tools or things that you can say to help either ease that or so that doesn't happen?
I think where I've seen this happen is people have pushed too hard. They've gone too hard too fast, or they've tried an extreme form of therapy that probably wasn't quite right for them. So I think it's really, as a person as well, understanding what you're signing up for and knowing if that's going to work for you. So I think as someone who's coming to shadow work, it's really trusting your intuition around that and knowing that, yes, I can have an experience where someone's going to rip that Band-Aid off and make me possibly relive a traumatic experience, or no, I'm not there and I need a more gentle, kinder approach. And I think it's having that self-awareness of self and following that guidance and really knowing, because there are so many different ways that you can approach the shadow, right? And so it's really I guess, bringing that intuition into play for yourself as well, and trusting the inner guidance that you have to what is going to work well with you. And you've mentioned it before yourself, Sky, that it's that rapport. So having that rapport with your client and knowing when you can push, because sometimes the clients need a bit of a push, sometimes they don't. And it's really having that balance as well. And also the client being able to push back on you and say, no, I can't deal with this bit right now, and supporting them through that so that they can get to that point. So I think there's a lot of play with trusting your intuition, having that rapport so that you can, from both sides, push, but also being really supportive in that. So I do most of my work, most of my sessions will include a soul journey, which is taking you into a theta brainwave, and then you're going back to a scenario to give a higher perspective, a different understanding, or bring in some awareness that you may not have had, or love on that inner child part of yourself. And during that process, it's really about holding the client and sharing the love and encouraging them to continue working in a soft and gentle way. And I feel that's something that's really important. And it speaks to me because that's how I've had to do it for myself. I've had to deal with more of a gentle kind of process, and I've trusted my intuition through that. So I think they're really important things. And I think also as practitioners, it's knowing our limitations as well. We all have areas that we excel at. We all have our limitations on what we can do. And so sometimes as a practitioner, stepping past that ego and going, you know what, this one's not for me. I can't deal with this level of trauma, or this one has complex reoccurring trauma that is not my wheelhouse. Or knowing that a different modality is going to bring a better result for your client. And sometimes it is like stepping back from your ego and going, you know what, this one isn't for me. And I think that's important when we're doing this shadow work of understanding our capacity, and also having those connections with other people to go, I'm not your person, but I know someone who is. And so I think that's really important as well when we're trying to help someone, so that they're not having the Band-Aid ripped off and we're not knowing how to hold that space. So I think there's a bit of that comes into play as well when we're trying to avoid that work going sideways as well, right? Like we have responsibility as the practitioner to go, this is too much for me, or I don't think my modality is going to help you in this scenario, and you might be better off seeing someone else to do some kind of different work to get you through this, or maybe you need to do some energetic balancing before we dive into the shadow work, whatever it is. But I think that's an important thing that needs to come in to help people so that they don't go sideways, so that we can stop that sideways motion happening, and that they can get through this work in a nice way, in a gentle way, in a way that works and allows them to progress without re-traumatizing.
Yeah, most definitely. And I really love what you said there, Michelle, about knowing your own specialties, powers, niche, if you want to use that word, what your wheelhouse is and what isn't your wheelhouse. And also having a beautiful group of people in your back pocket. I know through a lot of the community where I did a lot of my own studies, we have that beautiful thing of we jump on and go, I have someone that's come to me, but it's not my expertise, it's this and this, who's here to help. And so they can send those referrals off and pass those on to get the help that they need, or the help that's going to be more aligned with what they're looking for. And that is a lot of moving past our own egos to say, yeah, no, this is not my jam. Me personally, I found this go sideways quite a lot, not necessarily with a practitioner and a client situation, because I know you guys are all amazing, but a lot of people I know are all amazing and do have that rapport. And if it does go a little bit, we can bring it back and hold that space. But what I'd seen over the last couple of years is that shadow work went from not being known at all to being like a buzzword. And everyone jumped on this buzzword where they didn't really know what it was. And they jumped onto this buzzword and they wanted to go onto this journey on their own. They didn't want a practitioner, they didn't want someone to hold that space for. And that's where I've personally seen a lot go a little bit awry, because, as Michelle said, too hard, too fast, because there was no sort of knowledge around processes or what it is, or all of those sort of things of how they could approach it gently. And they just dove in all by themselves with no support and went, oh my God, no. So anyone that's playing at home, just look into it, ask questions. I know all of these beautiful people here, myself included, we're all here to answer questions. We're all here to hold space. So if you have questions, you're a little bit unsure or anything like that, reach out, send a message, send a DM and go, hey, seen this, not really sure what it is. Can you answer a couple of questions for me? Pretty sure all of you guys would be like, yes, we will. Cool. How can we help? Because I know for me, same thing. That's my purpose. That's what we're here for. I'm going to slide right over question number 4 because I feel like you all have answered it through questions 1, 2, and 3, and jump to 5. There's just a bit of a follow on from what I was just saying, actually. For those of you that are playing at home, how can we incorporate shadow work into our daily lives so we can live more aligned and be more our authentic selves? And Michelle, I'm going to start with you this time.
Thank you. I think with this one, it's really about embracing these daily practices that I think we've all touched on during the panel discussion, the meditation, the journaling, sitting in stillness, having the pause, the self-awareness, understanding who we are. I think one of the greatest things, and I still do it now, is getting curious. Why have I reacted like this to this situation? What part of me in my shadow needs a little bit of love, needs a little bit of healing, because it's caused me to react to something in a way that I don't want to? Or why have I blurted out this sentence? Why has this traffic jam caused me so much angst? Like, what is coming up? And getting curious about these daily things and then using your journaling to explore that. And that just helps you bring a little bit of awareness to what might be going on. So these are all tools that I guess you can use on a daily or when you feel that they're coming up. But I think the biggest thing that when you're doing this kind of work that you need to do for yourself is bring and approach it with compassion and grace. It's not easy. It's not a joyful ride the whole way through. The end result is amazing, but there's going to be tears, there's going to be upset, there's going to be turning parts to yourself that you may not like, but bringing compassion and understanding and love and grace to yourself as you go through the process, I think is really important. So, the mindfulness practices, the meditation, all of those things are amazing, but coming to them with that compassion and that grace, and get curious. Like, why are you reacting this way? Why are you feeling this way? What are you maybe not expressing? And do that through journaling. And I think that's some things that you can do at home. They don't get too tough. You don't really, maybe sometimes you might need a bit of support, but when you're meditating, when you're journaling, you can normally get that out without needing the support. And if you do, then that's great. It gives you an indication of what you might want to work on. And that's when you reach out and you can say to someone, XYZ's come up for me and I'm finding this really heavy. And you at least know where you're starting from instead of walking in blind to it. I've had some clients who are like, I don't know, I just know I need to do some work. And so having done this process yourself gives you an idea of where you can start at least, and then start unfolding, and what unfolds. I always run with what needs to come up comes up when it comes up. So just by gently playing allows it to step forward, and meditating, journaling, being mindful, having that pause, the stillness. Like, today's world is so chaotic. So stopping and pausing is so important so that you can understand and just get to know that part of yourself. But curiosity, biggest thing, curiosity, get curious, sit with yourself, journal, meditate, be a bit mindful, I think is a really good things that you can do with yourself to understand who you are.
I love that, Michelle. And yes, curious. I love it. Have a play.
Yeah.
All beautiful things. Denise, is there anything you would like to add for those playing at home?
Yeah, that was beautiful, Michelle. Spot on. I'm all about the curiosity and really paying attention to your narrative, paying attention to what you're saying, paying attention to what's going on and what you're triggered by when someone says something and you go, oh, you cringe or whatever. Oh, so what is that? And really know the questions to ask yourself. What's happening here? Why have I reacted? It's because it's never about the other person. It's always about self. And you said that so beautifully, and you liken it to a child. You see, a child is the expressive bunny. The child is our little children show us how to live. They know how to live. And it comes a point where then they lose that, because then we all enforce conditions on them. But before that, they'll just cry at a drop of a hat and we go, oh my gosh, what's going on? And we pay so much attention to them to see what they're doing, to giving them that playtime, to making sure they rest. They do all the things that we should actually be doing. They express how they feel. They ask the questions. For those who have children out there, watch your children. Watch your little ones. Watch your grandchildren. They show you where you're at. They show you what you're not showing up to. Children will show us and bang on our door because they want time. They want love. They reach out for a cuddle because they want your love. It's about, it's that, and just paying attention to who you are, what's going on with you. It's all about you. We always, like I said before, think it's outside of ourselves, but it never is. It's about, what do I feel like? What do I look like? What do I want to see? How do I want to be? It's about all our senses, and are they truly mine, or are they a condition that I've been taught? So it's about unraveling all of that and just being aware and kind and gentle to self, because it does get rough. It does get rough. But learning to be kind and gentle, because no one else is going to give you the kindness you need, the love you need, the compassion you need. Only you can give that to yourself. You know how much you need. People will give it to you, but if you're not also giving it to yourself, you're only accepting what you can take. And if it's only very little, you'll only take very little of it. So just go gently with yourself. Allow yourself to, as again, curiosity, explore, ask loads of questions, because that's the magic of the healing. Shadow is our trauma, is our anxiety, is our depression. That's what shadow is, because it's been put under the darkness of. So allow yourself to be open to receive what's there for you. And there's messages in every shadow that we dig into. I go into the shadow to find the light. And within that light is the message. I want more love. I'm reaching outside into the world to get love, but I'm actually not reaching within to receive love for myself, from myself. The messages are there in the light. So yeah.
I love that, Denise, and you're 100% spot on there. And that's something that I come across a lot, and you said it, Denise, is we show and teach other people how to treat us by how we treat ourselves. So if you're treating yourself poorly, you believe that you have low self-worth, like that, you're going to magnetize, you're going to bring into your life people that are going to treat you as such. If you treat yourself with kindness, compassion, love, like you would a friend, right? If you treat yourself with those things, then people are going to show up as well to treat you and give you those things as well. And it is a very interesting concept when we move.
Because it's, in a sense, those people who are showing up and showing you that lack of love are the gift to show you, oh, I need to love myself more, then I attract the love that I want.
There is the mirror. Katerina, what would you like to add, beautiful?
So what I would like to add is I teach my clients how to speak to their high self so they can have a conversation with themselves through automatic writing or through the cards or intuitive or something like that. I teach them how to communicate with one of their guidances, spiritual guide, angels, whatever they are. But at the same time, I add the shadow in the picture, and I say, okay, we're going to create a name. So if you feel like, if you want to ask questions like we've been talking about, you can sit quietly, start automatic writing and say, for example, Julie. So you named your shadow Julie for an example, and you say, what is it why am I scared of you? And then just allow your intuition and your inner knowing just to answer that question for you. You'll be quite surprised when you step back a little bit and give yourself the chance to answer back without expectations of what kind of answer you would get. So that's the other thing that I teach my clients, is to how to speak to their spiritual team. Because sometimes the shadow is not about, it may not be about a trauma. It may just simply be that you're afraid to look into your own light because you can be better or you can do something. And so the shadow can, by communicating with the shadow, it can teach you how to not be afraid to ask the difficult questions too, because you're giving that to yourself, right? So that's what I help with my clients too, with the spiritual team, as I call it. I help them to learn automatic writing, so that gives them the ability to surrender to their inner knowing, and they just flow with the answer and ask the question, why am I scared today? And just allow that part of you, the shadow part of you, to say, oh, something like, you're afraid because you need to go and face your boss today, so you're running scared, and you have that type of conversation with yourself. Be curious, ask you questions. That's what I do too with my clients. I teach them how to speak to their spiritual team and create names. So it gives you that sense like you're just meeting somebody. I always say you talk to your spiritual guides like you would your best friend, and you just have you can have a simple conversation anytime, anywhere, and that will help you to step back and surrender a lot more into your physicality of what you need to do, and you'll be quite surprised as to the answers you will get, because it's going to give you motivation to ask more questions.
Most definitely. And I love that. And I love the name aspect too. That's something that I do a lot with my clients as well. So thank you so much for sharing those. And Michelle, is there anything that you would like to add for those playing at home and introducing shadow work into sort of their daily lives or their daily practice?
I've already touched on that. I think Dr. Simi
Dr.
needed to
Simi,
have-
sorry, my bad.
That's okay.
I was trying to go around the room, even though the room's square and we're all little boxes.
No worries, all good. I just want to add that in medicine, we always say start low, go slow. That's been the theme I think that we've all kind of agreed upon tonight. And what I like to do is, again, remind the people to tune into the emotional storage shed, the area between your throat and your heart chakra, and slowly start becoming aware of your emotions. Because I think a lot of us have suppressed them. And as we begin this slow process, it'll make it a lot easier for you to turn into different shadow aspects of yourself, because there's more than one. On the average, my spiritual mentors have told me there's anywhere from 4 to 6. And I usually tell my clients to sit with their inner child for about 10 to 15 minutes each night and really tune in and talk to them like you would your biological child, and ask them, hey, what was the good thing about today? Or what did you not like about today? And Katerina was saying, you'll be amazed at what the answers that come through. And finally, I do want to end with, I love, my favorite quote is, may there be kindness in your gaze when you look within.
That was powerful. I love that. Wow. What absolute epic conversations and answers and all things shadow. And I really hope that you guys that are listening at home or have tuned in, that you have now a lot more confidence, a lot more knowledge around shadow work, and that, because everyone said, we don't have to rip the band-aid off and dive straight in. We can start slow and just really work on that integration process through kindness and compassion for self. I would love to take a moment now to go around the room, and I'm going to get all my beautiful panelists to once again name what they do and what they have to offer. So Dr. Simi, I'm going to start with you because I finished with you. So what do you have to offer? What offers that are running in your field right now?
Yeah, I basically do it on donation basis here in Colorado. I have meetup groups where we do the inner child work. It's also online, obviously, for those who are not able to join personally. Come join me. You can search up the meetup group Inner Child Work in Denver, Colorado. And like I said, it's all donation basis because I understand the length, right? It's not just a weekly thing. It's not a monthly thing. It has to become a way of life. And the only way to do that is through community support and having somebody there constantly, so you don't have to really worry about the finances. So that is truly my joy and passion, and I'd love for you to join me and read my book. It's called Raising the Inner Child, Discover Your Unique Path to Healing.
Thank you so much, Dr. Simi. I'm going to add as well for everyone, all links to all these beautiful panelist offerings, as well as myself, will be found in the comment section of this video. Denise, what's going on in your world?
For me, as I said before, I support and coach people to self-heal, help them to learn it for themselves so they can pass it on for generations. And mine's really a thing of love. So my sessions, I do an hour to 90 minutes for $50 Australian. I'm not sure if my website's up, but I just reach out. I'm on Facebook, Instagram. I'm sure they'll be supplied here. But yeah, it's a journey of love for me. So I just love seeing people find themselves, loving themselves and changing the world. Because when I can't change the world, but if I change myself, the world changes. So,
Perfect. I
yeah.
love that. Thank you so much for sharing. And Michelle, what offers are you happening in your world for 2025? I can't believe I'm saying that.
I know, it's still getting my head around the 25 bit at the end there. So I do 2 one-to-one services. So I either do holistic counseling or I bring in all of my modalities in soul practitioner sessions. So I'm a certified life coach, certified soul coach, empowerment coach, energy healer at the master level. I've done ascension work, meditation work, mindfulness. So there's a lot. So I just bring that all under one banner of soul practitioner and tap into whatever modalities need to step forward in those sessions for people, or we can just do holistic counseling, which is probably a little bit more talk-based, but if someone needs something, I do dive into my toolbox of modalities that I have there available to people. A lot of my work is all around heart-centered. I believe that our essence, our soul sits in our heart space. So all of my work is based around heart-centered healing, and that's my signature program, which is a 6-month journey together, normally in a group setting. So that kicks off at the beginning of February. And then I run smaller programs. So I have a 6-week one coming up at the beginning of March, which is all around journaling and the different ways that we can journal. So it's not so much the prompts, there's so many different ways that we can journal. And so it's exploring all of those live together, meeting once a week online, just to go through those different ways of journaling, because it's not just a journaling prompt. There's different ways that you can embrace journaling. So I like to teach that to people as well. But all of the information's on the website. And of course, if you've got any questions, you can always reach out. But yeah, my main thing is just soul work. Let's bring it back to the soul, the essence of who you are, and reconnecting with that.
Beautiful. I love that. So many beautiful offers and so juicy too. Katerina, what about you in your world? I know you've spoken a little bit about it. It's very intriguing. Very beautiful.
What I offer is you can chat with me for about 15 to 20 minutes and you can tell me where you're at and what you would like to achieve and how you would like to understand and find your clarity and understanding in your everyday life through the means of healing. I'm a certified life coach, mental and emotional coach. I do crystal light bed healing, which I can do online as well. And I can teach you all about how to connect with your spiritual team so you can get that extra help. I do one-to-one coaching, 90-minute. If you want the deep transformational, let's get into the layers, that sort of a session, I have 90 to 2 hours, or we can do 1 hour. It all depends where you are. I'm able to sit with you for 20 minutes and sit where you are at, and I will ask you what you would like to achieve being with me. So I have tea, tapping, light language, mental health, emotional health, certified life coach. But my specialty is connecting you with your spiritual teams so you can become comfortable with your invisible world, so you can find clarity and understanding in your human life. And that's what I offer. I have a website and it's all there. Please reach out and let's just have a chat to see how I can help you.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Katerina. What a bunch of epic practitioners, right? And like myself, we're all a multi-modality medicine human. We all here with so much here to offer. And even for myself, I'm just going to throw a shameless plug in here as well. I have a beautiful tribe with Sacred You. It is called Awakening the Depths. It is all about shadow work and inner healing, the things that we find uncomfortable and a bit niggly. There, I have a safe place that I have created within Sacred You to come and join and learn about shadow work, learn about inner healing, have a safe place and a safe community with other members as well to ask questions, to be able to do this journey. All of the things I touch on quite a lot. Honestly, unfortunately, I've had to defer my studies, but I will be going into, for later on in the year, if not next year, going into plant medicine and plant medicine journeys and all of those sort of things as well. So there will be lots of awesome conversations and ways to help you integrate your shadow. Offerings wise, unfortunately, at the moment, my mentorship is only on request only. So my calendar is no longer open for that one due to some personal reasons that are happening here. But I am offering single sessions all the way from shadow work journeys, shadow value journeys, cutting the cord, past life healing, past life regressions, and any sort of one-to-one clearing. So all details, like these beautiful women have said, and I've said before, will be in the comment section as well. And I would also like to add that I do have a free shadow work journal that you can get access to. It is full of beautiful prompts as well as amazing questions and reflection points, as well as a beautiful integration process that you can do at home or with a practitioner. It's completely up to you. So all of those things will be made available in the comment section. I just want to take a moment to thank these beautiful women who have joined me today on this panel discussion. I love the fact that I now know 4 more shadow work practitioners that are in this world and on this timeline, as well as it is something that, as I mentioned, can get a little bit of what is shadow work, or you do that. So it is beautiful to know some more torchbearers out there. I would like to call Sophia back on now to finish off with anything else that needs to be said, if she's there. Yes.
What a wonderful panel, Sky. I really love listening to this. I've been sitting in the background, love really what everyone has to say. And I'd just like to take a moment to honour and to thank everyone. Thank you, Michelle, for joining us for your very first panel. Hope that you come again. We've got many more, so please do hope to see you again. Katerina, beautiful Katerina, I love all your wisdom.
Thank you.
About shadow work and how you can help others. It's amazing. So for everyone who's watching, do reach out to all these women. Denise, who showed up at the last moment, extremely grateful. We had a last minute cancellation and Denise said, yep, I'll come in. So really appreciated Denise. And of course, our beautiful Dr. Simi, who has joined us before, and looking forward to Dr. Simi's panel that is coming up sometime very soon as well. And Sky, as you mentioned, you are the facilitator of the Awaken the Depths tribe, which I thoroughly recommend. I have the honour, the joy, the privilege, I don't know, the blessing of being one of your members. And I love going through your deep work. It has helped tremendous. So for everyone who's watching, do tune in to other panels, absolutely. But come and join us. Come and join Sacred You just for $1. And for $1, you get 2 weeks to try out all our tribes, including the amazing Skies tribe, Awaken the Depths. Plus, we've got about 20 other tribes from the Bewitching tribe. We have the Psychic Essence Collective tribe. We've got the Empowering You tribe, all sorts of different tribes. Click on the links below. Check out sacredyou.love. Come and join us, $1 for 2 weeks. Then after that, we are offering a 50% discount off your membership for as long as you are with Sacred You. So depending on which one, it's roughly around $15 a month, and you can't get to see a shadow work specialist for $15 a month. That is guaranteed, plus everything else. So again, thank you ever so much for joining us. It's really appreciated, and I look forward to seeing everyone again very soon.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice to be with you, ladies.
Ooh.